Madeira's rugged beauty must be viewed from the sea, for it's from this vantage point that one can appreciate its dramatic geology. Its volcanic cliffs rise majestically, showing little sign of change over 5 millennia.
So the adventure begins.
Yes.
Where are you going to take me?
We go see a nice place. Is Calhau da Lapa.
The Lapa, the limpets. The Lapa, you eat them, no?
Lapa,
They're
yes,
on the
yes.
rock, yes. The sea is a very dark blue, isn't it?
Yes.
It's beautiful. I love it. Well, it used to be the fishermen's caves and the fishermen's refuge if things got rough at sea and it was a bit crazy out here and they weren't able to get home. They'd come here, berth here on the jetty and have, safe place to stay at night. But they've actually changed it so that it's, this modern type ecological tourism, which people love so much. And I suppose even for the locals, if you want to just get away for a weekend and live in a cave. I mean, who wouldn't want to spend a weekend in a cave right on your own private beach? It's incredibly fertile, Madeira, isn't it? It really is, both in the sea and on the land.
Yes.
Vasco, talk to me a little bit about the coastline in Madeira. How big is the entire coastline?
We have 60 kilometers, and the south side normally is more calm. the sea.
Okay.
But you have a nice views, the green,
Where you see the lush, forest-covered mountains.
Yes, is in the north.
Is in
side.
the north, isn't it?
Yes,
Of course.
and it's fantastic. You have a nice coast in the north too.
Yes. Is this Cape Girau?
Yes, the second most higher cable in the world.
So 640-meter drop.
Exactly.
The wind has fortunately picked up, so we are going to be able to sail and hopefully sail past Câmara de Lobos and hopefully into Funchal. We'll see how long the wind lasts. So Vasco is getting the sails ready, and I've told him that he is the captain, on the sea at least, and I can help him in any way possible. He must let me know. Now I have to try and find the fridge. We are looking for beer. Okay. Everything's concealed here.
No, in the left. No, on the left. On the left.
On the left. Ah! In the worktop. I have to say, Vasco, you have quite the stash in here. Cheers. Chin
Cheers.
chin.
It's good.
That's very good.
like?
That's very good. All the women and children were taken out of Gibraltar because we were British military. We were forces. We were an outpost for the war, really, for the war effort, okay. And although an active one, so it was full of military. So they took out all the civilians. And well, they kept the men, those who could work and help in the war effort, but all the women and children were taken out, and they were evacuated to Madeira, which is where the lucky ones were evacuated to. And then others were evacuated to London. My other granny was evacuated to London, and that was terrible. They had a terrible time because it was being bombed so heavily. And then some of them were evacuated to Jamaica, of all places, yes. But Madeira was very generous and looked after the Gibraltarians, yeah.
Good. Chin chin and that.
Chin chin to the Madeirans' hospitality.
Thank you.
Ah, there.
Yes, good.
Is that enough, Vasco?
Yes, it's enough.
Oh,
Good.
The sun is just coming through the clouds. Beautiful. It's October, the sun is shining, and I'm on a sailing boat just off this beautiful coast. I just have to get in the water, don't I? The water is warm, it's incredible, and it's really deep. There's about 50-meter depth here, and the water is warmer than I've experienced all summer back home in Gib. This is the view that would have greeted the residents of Catalan Bay as they arrived in Madeira. After their arduous journey here, this Lazareto was to become their home. Lazareto, as you can see, is mainly consists of these cream-colored buildings behind me. It was an isolation hospital used for skin disorders and as a quarantine center for people who came on ships who were with illnesses, and they weren't allowed on shore until they were certified okay by a doctor. Here is where they lived, where they created their own school and educated their young, and more or less where they stayed for their entire during the entire evacuation period, so about 4 years. This is where they stayed. I had no idea that it's within meters of Funchal. Now, I find that very odd that they were based here and didn't move around. So I don't know whether there were restrictions on Gibraltarian movement, or perhaps they couldn't afford to move, actually. Perhaps they couldn't afford to move. An experience which went on to further ignite the close-knit community that existed then and still exists today.
They will be there when you die. Baby, there's no need to fear. Baby, there's no need to cry.
This small yet stunning church is called St. Peter's, and it can be found within the district also of the same name, St. Peter's, here in Funchal. There's a beautiful combination of Portuguese tiles from the 1700s, which combine simply yet very effectively with the heavy ornate gilt altar. Now, in one of the little side rooms, there's a buried treasure, and there we can find Our Lady of Europe, kindly donated by our late Bishop Caruana.
Every little piece of your life will add up to one. Every little piece of your life will mean something to someone.
In 1990, Gibraltar and Madeira were twinned, cementing our union forevermore. This monument was erected in memory of the many Gibraltarians who died during the evacuation years and were buried here in Madeira, but also to express gratitude for the Madeirans' hospitality and for their help during our hour of need. Claudia, you're a researcher and historian here at the Research Centre for the Atlantic Islands. But you have a very special project that you're currently working on.
It's true. I'm trying to work on the history of the Gibraltarians, the Gibraltarian evacuees, who were here during the Second World War.
So what's your impression so far?
Well, their impact is undeniable. I've read an article on a paper that it said like, life was never the same in Funchal after the Gibraltarian evacuees. And there was also a title on a local paper that said, it has been a month since they arrived and you barely noticed them. So it shows how well integrated they were. And that's a fact.
I believe it was also vital, imperative for the female evolution in society.
Yeah, I've been talking to people, and especially women, who remember the time that the Gibraltarians were here. And they were, the girls who were in high school, they felt jealous because they had more freedom. They could go to any place in the city, whereas the Portuguese weren't allowed, the Madeiran girls weren't allowed. And they had free time. So they weren't working, they weren't allowed to work. The Portuguese government didn't allow them to work. So they had free time, they had to find things to do. So they played tennis, they played basketball, they went to the Lido for a swim, they went on excursions. And so gradually, they also tried to conquer a similar status. And that really did make a difference. It really helped Funchal and the economy, the local economy. But other than that, they mingled so well and they made friends. What we're talking about here is no longer an evacuee.
It's not an immigrant relationship or asylum seeker relationship, is it?
It turned immediately into friendship.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the difference. That's what I think. And the British community here in Funchal also welcome the upper class.
That is exactly something that I wanted to bring up. Perhaps the higher social class of Gibraltarian that was here was allowed to partake of the garden, the country clubs and the tennis and the very British outings and activities, which the Madeirans weren't allowed to do.
Of course not even today.
Not even today.
Right. So it's a totally different thing if you compare with the group who stayed at Savoy, for instance.
Yes.
That was mainly category B, so they were subsidized, half subsidized by government, and drastically different from the group from Catlin Bay.
Boa tarde, Elena. Muchas gracias por invitarme a su casa. ¿Todo bien?
Todo.
Muy bien. ¿Entramos?
Sí.
I'm very excited because Elena has agreed to teach me how to make bolo de miel. Con que se hace a mano.
A mano.
I've washed my hands, I'll have you know. But
Até ficar a farinha toda escura.
okay, all in, a mezclarlo todo.
Sim.
Okay, this is, wow, this is incredibly good. ¡Qué bueno! The smells emanating from this are rich and absolutely luxurious, and they remind me of Christmas. In this, Elena, le voy a explicar los ingredientes que están aquí dentro. Usted me corrige si lo digo mal.
Sí.
Okay, we have flour, sugar. We need to add the lard. I don't think that's been added yet. But there's margarine, milk, eggs, cinnamon, sweet herbs and spices, nutmeg, ginger, I'm sure there's some cinnamon in there. There's walnuts, mixed nuts, raisins, and honey. And it feels absolutely amazing. I mean, this is better than therapy, I can tell you. It's just so nice.
Tem que ficar a farinha toda misturada. Não tem que
Okay, that's
não tem que aparecer branco.
Venga, we don't want to see any white.
Mais fundo.
Más fondo. She's gonna be a slave driver, I can see it. Okay. It's so sticky and gooey. It's absolutely...
Descosta.
Trabajo. I could eat this with a spoon. It's that really rich flavor.
Já pode.
That's Christmas. Já está listo?
Já.
Já.
Já está.
Okay, ahora qué hacemos?
Agora ter a gordura.
Now we add the lard.
A margarina e a banha.
I think that my grandmother would have approved, actually. She was a fan of using lard. And within the family, we haven't kept that, you know. We've always substitute the lard with sort of what healthier ingredients. But they've never tasted as good as my granny's. So I imagine that's the reason why. Esto lo va a chupar todo.
Sim.
Parece que hay mucho.
Não.
Okay, I'm being very gentle. I'm actually enjoying it.
Aí. Momento.
Ah, okay. Right, I'm going to give it a beating. I'm going to attempt to give it a beating. Right?
Vá.
It's being inspected closely. Will I pass?
Bolhas.
Ah, bubbles.
Sei. Quanto
Eso es lo que estamos mirando. ¡Ay!
Já tá bom.
Ya está listo. Yay! I passed with flying colors. Yay!
Depois faz assim.
Oh, isn't that beautiful? Isn't
Who's
that?
in the back?
Are you going to cover it up? Wait a minute. Appreciate the work of art, my creation, my first ball de miel. And now we cover it? Why are we covering it? Are we not going to eat it? Esto no se come. Esto se tiene que guardar.
Está muito quente, não se come agora.
No se puede comer hasta Navidad. Me lo vas a mandar a Gibraltar, ¿no? ¿Y qué? ¿Chao? ¿Adiós? ¿No se puede comer?
Não, agora não.
No!
Está quente.
I'm going off with my ball de miel. Elena was only teasing me. I am going to be allowed to try the ball de miel. But that is the traditional thing to do. You've baked it, you've prepared it, you wrap it up in your paper and you leave it there. And you leave it there for Christmas or you give it as a gift. But I'm being allowed to have some, so we're breaking with tradition. This is fantastic. A tu salud. Ching ching.
Sim.
Ching ching, ting tang tum.